In all my years of testing smartwatches, 2025 has probably had the biggest changes, with some of my longtime favorite brands falling by the wayside and new brands earning a spot on my wrist. We've seen new designs, new features, and even new categories of watches altogether. But with all these watches, choosing the right one is more difficult than ever, and choosing the wrong one based on marketing or brand reputation could honestly be a huge mistake. Now, as a watch reviewer, I've been fortunate enough to test dozens of watches this year, and I want to share the best of the best by category. So these are the 2025 Smartwatch Awards. The categories we're going to talk about in this video include the best budget smartwatch, best hybrid, I'll explain what that is when we get there, best for fitness training, best for health and sleep tracking, best minimal smart band, best battery life, best for women, kids, elderly, 3 groups there, going to be a little more inclusive this year. We also have the best looking, the biggest flop, that's an exciting one to talk about, the best value smartwatch, which is probably what a lot of people should be buying, and the best overall watch of 2025. And as always, links to everything will be in the description below. Using them costs you nothing and helps to support the channel, and I appreciate your support. So with that said, let's get into the first category, which is the best hybrid smartwatch. This is kind of a cool category that a lot of people don't know about. It's a smartwatch that has hands on the outside. It looks like a classic analog watch, and I have 2 winners in this category. The first one is the Withings ScanWatch Nova. Just a beautiful watch. It gives you a 35-day battery life, and everything about this watch just looks like a classic analog watch. In fact, wearing it, most people would never know you have a smartwatch on your wrist, but at the same time, you have a little display on the top that gives you notifications. You can have timers on there, ECG, body temperature, sleep tracking, period tracking, heart rate, breathing, workouts, like kind of everything you'd want from a smartwatch, with the exception of GPS and obviously touchscreen. Like, you're not gonna get Uber on this or voice assistant, but it does have a lot of the fundamentals you'd want from a watch. It also comes with 2 different straps, a metal band, which you can see right here looks really nice, and a silicone one for more of a workout style aesthetic on here. And the hands not only move with what you're doing, they'll move out of the way when you're trying to look at the screen, but they also glow in the dark. So you can see this even at night, even without turning on the watch. And the best thing about this is that Withings has a lot of other products that work well in their app, kind of focused on health. So they've got like scales. They even have like some little urine sample thing in your toilet that tells you, I don't know, like stuff about what you're eating. Anyway, the watch itself, pretty awesome. But the second option here, if you want something a little bit smarter, but you still want those hands so that you don't need to waste battery on an always on display, then the second option is the Garmin Instinct Crossover AMOLED. I thought Garmin was out of the game for hybrid watches until this year. This is a full AMOLED display, typical Garmin watch with GPS, heart rate, everything you'd expect, and it has hands, so you don't need to waste battery, like I said, on an always on display. And the hands do more than just tell the time, so they're pretty well integrated. Like, for example, if you open the compass app, they'll point like north, south, and they'll move around in a really cool way. And you're getting a 14-day battery life on here, as well as some other cool Garmin features, like a flashlight on the top. And I know that sounds like a weird thing you'd never use, but I thought the same thing, and I use it way more than I expected. And this one works great again with Android or iOS, and it has lots of buttons to control the watch. In addition, of course, you're getting the full app access from Garmin, so HRV status, sleep tracking, morning report, health snapshot, sleep coaching, all the normal stuff. Even some more advanced stuff like altitude acclimation and other things are on here. Plus, smartwatchy kind of things like Garmin Pay. You have multi-band GPS for better accuracy. I mean, I think I should probably make a whole video about this one, but that is a pretty sweet watch from Garmin that has hands, which is just like a cool, unique thing. But moving into the next category, let's talk about if you want the best looking smartwatch. Hybrid watches, in my opinion, look probably the best, but maybe it actually has to be a real true smartwatch. Like, you need a voice assistant, you need to get Uber on there. In my opinion, the best looking smartwatch has to be the Galaxy Watch 8 Classic. Now, this has a stainless steel body with a physical rotating bezel that is not only really satisfying and really useful, but I think it looks really nice. It adds a nice aesthetic to this watch and allows you to kind of customize it. Like, you can match different bands with this. You could put a metal band on here and it looks even more premium. And I know like the squircle look is something that not everyone was a huge fan of, but Samsung didn't invent that. There are classic analog watches that have a really similar shape. So that, in my opinion, is not only a great watch, but also super functional. We'll be talking more about the Watch 8 series later in this video. Moving to something way smaller and way more minimal though, let's talk about the best smart band. This would be essentially somebody who wants to track their steps, maybe track their sleep, and kind of just generally keep tabs on their health, but they're not training for a marathon and they don't want something big and bulky on their wrist. So my choice here is the Xiaomi Smart Band 10. I actually gave one to my mother-in-law who wanted to track her steps and everyday health, but without a big bulky smartwatch. She wanted something minimal, doesn't need Uber and DoorDash on your watch, and this is exactly the thing to get. So this has a 21-day battery life. It tracks your heart rate surprisingly well, I'll add. It also tracks sleep, stress, breathing, all the normal stuff you'd want. And you can track workouts with 150 different workouts, and it has a fairly large display. It's kind of a weird tall display, but it's 1.72 inches, so it's pretty easy to see at a glance, and you can pretty easily swap out the bands for other metal or leather straps if you wanted a different look. It's also water resistant, so if you want to take it swimming, if you don't want to take it off when you shower, it's just fine. And it still does a lot of smartwatch stuff like notifications, camera control, phone call management. So you get a phone call, you're not going to answer it on your watch, but you can like answer an end and it'll play through your headphones or whatever. You've got music control, weather, and other things like that. And again, this works with both Android and iOS. Moving on to the best fitness tracking watch. Although the Apple Watch Series 11 and the Pixel Watch 4 were actually the most accurate in terms of heart rate this year, which I know is surprising that they'll beat out a lot of the, the fitness-oriented brands like Garmin, but this is actually based on my own testing. Now, that said, it's not the most important thing when you're tracking fitness because everything in the top tier is generally very accurate and a couple beats per minute off is not as significant as the features they offer. So I'd say for fitness tracking, features matter a lot. So if you're training for a race, a marathon, a triathlon, whatever it is you're doing, my choice here is the Garmin Fenix 8 Pro. Very rugged design, and they have a lot of features on here specifically catered to running and racing and things like that. Race predictor, for example, and race strategy planning. They have slope adjusted pace, so they can kind of help you keep a good pace based on how steep the hill is. Training readiness to prevent injuries, and they connect with Strava as well as pretty much anything else you would want to, like Pelotons, heart rate straps, and any other sensors. You can dive into your data not only on the app, but also on Garmin's website, and they have things like performance metrics, endurance score, acclimation to heat. They have hill scores, and they have other things that kind of gamify your workouts and your training to not only prevent injuries, but help you push yourself a little bit further. And this year, this model has phone-free LTE and satellite connectivity, so if you're doing trail running or you're off-grid and your phone's not around, you can still call or message people, and you can also reach emergency response services in case something happens, and you even have live track that lets your family or friends know where you are during activities. Again, this also has a flashlight, I mentioned that before, and 27 days of battery life. Like, you can pretty much take this thing anywhere, use it for any workout, and it is just such a solid device if you're training for a race. Definitely too much to cover in this video, but trust me, this is a really solid device for anyone training for races or just doing a lot of working out, whether it's cycling, running, anything like that. But let's shift gears, and maybe you're not trying to compete at a high level. Maybe instead your focus is on health and longevity, specifically sleep and just general wear and tear on your body. My choice here is actually the Whoop strap. And there's two different options. There's the MG, which is the more advanced one. I'll mention what the difference is in a second, but I think you could really do just fine with the regular 5.0. And this is a really solid device that I almost didn't include in this video because it's not really a smartwatch, because it's not really a watch. It doesn't have a display or even tell you the time. But this is a really solid device for keeping tabs on your sleep and your health. And the battery lasts a really long time, about 12 days for me. And you can wear it under your clothes really easily. It's very subtle. It blends in with anything. You can swap the strap out. And it's easy to just forget it's even on your wrist. Super comfortable and easy to sleep with. But it also gives you detailed insights into your sleep, your recovery, and your strain. They also gamify kind of health and longevity by giving you like an age score, basically, that makes it more addicting. You're always trying to work out more and improve that. It still doesn't have GPS, but this is going to be great for heart rate tracking, sleep tracking, heart rate variability, and other really important longevity-centric metrics. They also have an AI coach on there, so you can ask questions about different things going on and get some more insights to really understand what's going to be best based on your own metrics. And the MG even has blood pressure. That's kind of the main difference between the MG and the 5.0, as well as a couple other subtle things. But if you want to get this, again, or anything else I'm talking about in this video, I have links in the description down below. I think I actually have like a special discount with Whoop. I'll check. I'll put that in the description if there is one. But again, the Whoop MG, my choice for health and sleep tracking. Now, we've been talking a lot about health, fitness, working out, stuff like that. Let's kind of shift gears away from that and talk more about the next category, which is the best battery life. And technically, this is a full spectrum. There are some watches that are more sport focused. They might last longer. Anything with solar basically lasts forever. Like I have this G-Shock watch that has GPS and heart rate, but I've had it for 5 years and I've never charged it, and it still has a full battery because it has a solar panel. So we're not talking about that. The winner for the best battery life for an everyday smartwatch is the OnePlus Watch 3. For me, it consistently gets 4 to 5 days. It has a nice rotating crown, and although this only works with Android, they finally came out the second size. So not only is the larger one like really solid as an everyday Android watch with a clean, minimal UI and a lot that you can like about it. I have a full video just reviewing this watch, but they also came out with a smaller one finally. So anyone who has a smaller wrist and doesn't want a larger, bulkier watch can go with that one. But that leads us into the next category, the best smartwatch for women. I mean, obviously women could wear any watch, but basically I'll say the best for small wrists. There's two options right here. One is the Garmin Venue 4, the 41mm version. So I was really thinking about what is the best watch that women would like to wear. And I mean, I can only recommend some, but I actually had to go around and survey and ask a bunch of women. And like my wife, for example, has been wearing the Venue for years, absolutely loving it. It's the only watch that I've ever given her to wear that she actually wears every single day and likes and gets compliments on, and the Venue 4 is an improvement even further. I'm making a full review of the Garmin Venue 4, so get subscribed if you want to see that video, but essentially this is a solid device that just covers all the bases across the board for working out, as well as acting as an everyday smartwatch. Like you can answer phone calls on this, you can manage notifications, it works with iOS and Android, and it's a really solid device that also looks really good and fits on smaller wrists. But if you want something a little bit classier, Withings comes back again with the Withings ScanWatch Nova Brilliant Edition. So this is more of a women-focused watch, or at least that's how it's marketed to be. I mean, anyone who wants a smaller watch or has a smaller wrist could definitely appreciate this. And it's a really solid-looking watch. It's basically the same thing as the ScanWatch that I mentioned earlier in the video. So that little display on top, a really nice analog watch otherwise. And you know, tracks heart rate, tracks your period, tracks everything like that. Overall, a very impressive device. But let's shift to the next demographic, the best smartwatch for kids. There's two options here, depending on basically how old the kids are. One is the Fitbit Ace. And this, I mean, smartwatch for kids, if you're wondering like, why would you want that? There's a couple main things. One is to keep tabs on location. So you need to have LTE, you need to have GPS on there. So you can see like your kid is still at school. Yes, you're good. Or like your kid is in a van going down the road, right? Like stuff like that would be pretty important to know from a smartwatch. So the Fitbit Ace does a good job of not only having that in a really simple, intuitive interface on the phone, but also some really basic messaging so you can talk to your kid, let them know like what time you're gonna pick them up from school, things like that. There's a couple little games on there. There's school mode, so you can disable certain things during school hours so they're not distracted. Overall, it's really focused on like probably elementary ages, I would say, for this watch. Definitely a younger kid would be wearing this, but anyone who gets a little older, if you still want them to have a smartwatch so you can keep tabs on where they are and do some basic messaging, but maybe they don't have an iPhone, well, the Apple Watch SE3 is the best option here because you're able to set this up for your kid without getting an iPhone for them. In addition, you can get its own cell plan. I think it's like $5 or $10 a month, depending on the carrier, and that'll give them LTE to message you. You can see where they are on the Find My app, so you can see that from your MacBook or your phone. And again, you're able to set parental controls on there, so you can control what your kid is doing on the watch. Next category, really similar answer here. This is the best for elderly, and the main focus here is going to be LTE. So if anyone starts having like cognitive decline and like wanders off on their own, you can find where they are and help them. Also, fall detection is a really important one, and easy setup from somebody else or someone else having access to this. And my choice here could be the Apple Watch SE3 for sure if you're on a budget, but the Apple Watch Series 11, I'd say, is a little bit better for the health aspects of this. So the Apple Watch Series 11 is a great device that allows you to track, you can do ECGs on here, you can track sleep, heart rate, all of that stuff at the highest level. Like I said earlier in this video, the most accurate watch I've tested this year. And as far as fall detection goes, I haven't done the falling myself and haven't tested it, fortunately, but I've read some studies that show that the Apple Watches generally perform among the best of smartwatches out there in terms of fall detection, so you don't have to worry about somebody falling and you not getting notified. In addition, just like with the child one I said, you can set this up for somebody else. You can set up that $5 or $10 a month cell plan, and they just have to remember to charge it every night. No small wires, it's just a magnetic pad, you drop it on, easy to use. So the Apple Watch Series 11 is a great recommendation there. Now I know most people watching this video are not a child or an elderly citizen, but I wanted to include those both just in case anyone's interested in buying that for somebody. Maybe it could help them, save someone's life or something like that. So moving on to the next one, completely different here. This is the biggest flop, which is a little bit hard to say because I actually really like this watch. This is the Garmin Venue X1. It had tons of features, great display, very thin yet premium feeling, like nice titanium on the inside, and it had a lot of cool things going for it. But Garmin kind of missed for a couple reasons. One, the battery life on here is not like Garmin at all. If you have the always on display on, you're getting barely more than 2 days of battery life. It also doesn't have an ECG despite being an $800 watch, and it doesn't have dual band GPS despite, again, being an $800 watch. Also, they clearly copied Apple with this square design. So, Garmin makes a lot of really nice looking watches, as you've seen earlier in this video, but they wanted to compete, I assume, with the Apple Watch Ultra. And so they made this, and whenever I wore this during my testing period, everyone would ask me like, Mike, what's that Temu watch you're wearing? Why is it like this some knockoff Apple Watch? And I'd tell them like, no, this is actually an $800 Garmin watch. So they tried to make it look like I don't know. I think this was a flop. I don't think a lot of people are buying it. And I'm excited though. I hope Garmin will build off of this and make a better watch that's thin and maybe round next year and could really compete with the Apple Watch Ultra in that market. And now we get into the final 3 categories. We've got the best budget, the best kind of value, and then the best overall. So budget's gonna be like a really cheap watch. Say you didn't wanna get, the Xiaomi, which was a little bit cheaper, as I mentioned earlier in the video. The best cheap budget watch you can get, in my opinion, is the CMF Watch 3 Pro. This thing's $99 and it definitely feels and looks like a cheap watch, but it actually works fairly well. Like as soon as you turn it on, you'll see the display is surprisingly responsive, very bright, quite vibrant actually. And on the right side, the button is also a rotating crown, which has fairly good haptics. So it works well, it looks good, it feels nice. And you have dual band GPS on here, the ability to track a ton of different workouts, and there's actually quite a bit you can do with this watch just scrolling through here. So, I have to say, this is a pretty solid watch for $99. I know you could also buy maybe like a used or an older Galaxy watch for around that price. And if you want to do that, that's definitely a really solid option. But as far as new watches go, this is a pretty good setup. It feels really snappy using it, like the software and everything, the UI just feels quick and snappy. But I know the launch was a little bit rough, like some people complained about buggy software. I'm hopeful that with updates, like it already feels pretty good right now, but I'm hopeful that with updates, they will continue to improve this and it'll just keep becoming a better and better watch. Moving into something a little bit more expensive, the best value smartwatch. You want the best watch you can buy, but you don't want to spend $500 on it. Well, the Apple Watch SE 3 basically defined this category. This is a watch that is $250 and gives you everything, basically everything that the Apple Watch Ultra and Series 11 give you, with the exception of maybe a slightly smaller display and no ECG and a couple little kind of corner features that the vast majority, I'd say 95% of users would never even notice they didn't have that. So I've been recommending the SE series since it first came out. I have a full video after I wore it for a month. And of all the people I've personally recommended it to, which is a lot of people, I've never had any of them say, I wish I didn't get this, I wish I got the more expensive one. Like most people wear it and they're like, yeah, this is a really solid watch. It's just as fast, has the same chip on the inside, pretty much the same watch across the board, just half the price of the more expensive ones. So that's my choice. I would say for most people out there, if you have an iPhone, definitely get the Apple Watch SE 3. And if you have an Android, I would actually recommend the Galaxy Watch 8. It's kind of a boring watch that doesn't win in any specific category, but has decent enough workout tracking, decent enough battery life, has a lot of cool features on there, continues to improve with Galaxy, more AI features rolling out on there, and it works well with most Android devices out there, while also giving you some more premium ECG style stuff on, again, the Galaxy Watch 8. But moving into the final category, the best overall, the best of the best watch for 2025, I have to say, we'll start off with Android here because this is the first time in a while that this one, I've kind of shifted my opinions here. In the past, I would usually pick like the Galaxy Watch Classic, or maybe I'd pick a OnePlus watch. This year, I have to go with the Pixel Watch 4. This watch is absolutely incredible from the display that you can see, all kind of off axis. It's really large display as well, extremely vibrant. And after wearing this, every day for a month, I absolutely loved the insights it gave me, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about this new feature coming out. I saw it, at least I saw a headline about it, so I'm allowed to say there's an AI health coaching coming out. I've been using it. It's a really cool feature that Again, I'll talk more about that once embargoes lift and everything, but this is great for anyone from beginners looking to, just start losing weight. Maybe you're just getting into walking and some basic activities, or anyone doing more advanced training. Like, it has a solid, I think, 40-hour battery life on here, and you can dig deep into your metrics in the Fitbit app. Also, of course, this has Gemini very well integrated into it, so I can ask it to start a workout that burns off one slice of pizza, for example, or you can ask it a lot of different things about how was my sleep score last night, and you can manage messages and answer calls and do everything you'd want from the watch. Plus, having satellite SOS and having LTE on here means that you could theoretically leave your phone at home and just go around with this watch and really get by just fine. And if you want the best watch for an iPhone, my choice here is the Apple Watch Ultra 3. It's the Ultra version of the Apple Watch, so it has everything the Series 11 has, plus some extra features on top of that. It's a solid watch that I really enjoy, and although it really basically is in many ways identical to the previous version of the Apple Watch Ultra, I don't really think that's a bad thing. It does everything it's supposed to do at a really high level. So those are the 2025 Smartwatch Awards. Again, links down below to all of them if you want to see the latest price and support the channel. But I'm sure in the comments there's going to be some people mad that I didn't mention their favorite watch from Xiaomi or any other companies out there. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know which of these you like best, or maybe what category I should include next year that I didn't include in this one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Mike O'Brien, and I'll see you in the next video.